we like to call it the Supernatural Hour. And now, our hosts.
So tonight we're going to be talking about kind of two things. They go hand in hand, and if you've kind of studied one and researched the other, I don't know, I couldn't figure out a good way to really separate it without touching back and forth on each one. So we're going to talk tonight a little bit about child spirits and children that can see spirits. Because almost every website I looked at to get just some additional information kind of touched on both.
And in that investigation you just did that we just talked about, there was a child spirit involved there. Is that correct?
Yes.
This topic fits right in.
Right. And the child spirit didn't really do much. He was actually pretty quiet.
Right. Child spirit was the one that was through the shampoo bottle, correct? Just was playing.
Yeah, just playing. So I kind of have issues with child ghosts. Just with my religious background, I think anything before the age of 8 isn't going to hang around. It's just going to go to heaven. That's just what I believe.
Okay.
Just my doctrine. But all of the child spirits I have dealt with say that they are in that 9, 10, 11-year-old range. I've never run across one that claims to be younger. And if they did, I would call BS.
Interesting.
Demon.
I was going to, exactly.
Yep.
The concern about the demon acting as the child.
Yep. So there's a couple theories out there. There's a couple ways I can wrap my head around a child spirit. And just doing some reading, several people also agree with this theory, is that spirits can visit humans the way they
appeared in life.
So let's say that someone had a child that died. They're not going to come to you as an adult spirit because you'd look at them, if they came to you in the middle of the night and you'd be like, whoa, who are you, dude? Get out of my room. But if they came to you as you last knew them, you'd recognize them, you wouldn't be afraid.
Right. The house that I grew up in was haunted. We saw that as a child. We seen it as an adult. So I've witnessed that personally. I'd like to think it was the same ghost appearing in different ways.
Right. I also think that a spirit, I think a spirit has free agency. And when they pass, they can say, I don't want to cross over right now, for whatever reason. Maybe it's I'm scared to cross over. Maybe it's, there's I want to stay here with my family. I'm not ready. A myriad of different reasons. I think, too, that it's possible that if you don't want to go and you're comfortable as that child spirit, you can maintain that child spirit look. And some religious theologian might come pat me on the head and say, no, you're wrong. Whatever. It's a theory. I've got several theories here.
Or still a traumatic death and not knowing.
Right. They don't realize. Maybe they don't revert. Any thoughts?
Right. It just seems in general, a child passing is not the natural course of things, right? We expect to grow old and pass away, and it seems that when there's a sudden loss like that, there may be, I guess we could say, confusion when it comes to passing, or maybe fear, anxiety, etc.
Right. And I actually looked up a little bit in my church doctrine just to see what my church doctrine said, because I thought I've never really explored this in depth. And it said in there that our spirits are adult, probably mid-20s to mid-30s in age. But I think, and I could be wrong, but I think that a spirit could manifest to you in a way that you would recognize. Because type 3s can manifest in any form they want. We know that Lucy in the family tree manifests as a small girl with black eyes. The thing about type 3s is when they make that body, they're not perfect. There's always something wrong.
Right.
A leg is missing, an ear is missing. So if a spirit manifests to you, one of the things you're supposed to do is give it a good look. And if something's wrong,
be aware.
Be aware.
So does Lucy actually have black eyes, or does she have missing eyes?
I have never seen her like that. I think I've heard it described both ways.
Interesting.
But not just blank. There's black
something.
Black something.
I think last time when we were at the family tree, the description I got was missing eyes, just kind of holes.
Voids.
Basically.
Right.
Dark voids.
Some void there.
Yeah, so not that's the impression I get. It's not black eyes like black-eyed children, but just holes of blackness.
That sounds scarier anyways.
Yeah, it does actually.
And we may be running into Lucy again real soon.
Possibly. We're not going to give you much info on that. You'll just have to wait.
I had a question. What percentage of the ghosts that you come across do you think are children?
I would say that about 35-ish% of the time we have spirits that say they're children.
That's really high. When you think about, children passing, it's not a very frequent event.
Right.
Compared to adults that pass.
Right. And so when you get someone that says they're a child, it's like, are you really? Did you really pass as a young child? Are you just saying that because you think it's going to play on my emotions?
And
It's hard to
people are
prove.
more receptive to bringing a child in. Oh,
Yes.
This poor child.
Right. But even if it is a legitimate child spirit, it's nothing evil or demonic. Why such the frequency? Is that just that anxiety?
I think in that situation, the numbers would be down considerably to maybe, of the ones that you think probably are legitimate, probably 1 in 10.
Probably.
That the others are probably demonic,
More nefarious.
trying to use that child persona as a way to get into your life.
Right. There's a quote I found by he's a Christian pastor named Jerry Jokum. I'm not sure which denomination he is. And he wrote a book. And I haven't read the book, he had just like a little teaser as I was flipping through web pages. He said, the idea that a child could become a tormented ghost has deep theological implications concerning the nature of the afterlife and even the nature of God. And I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the reasons I really have a hard time with child spirits.
So what you're saying is, tread lightly with children spirits.
Yes. There's a few that I've run across that I think are legit. I have one in my house, and I think she's legit. And the reason why is because I have seen her. I have cousins that have seen her. I have a sister and a niece and nephew that have all seen her.
And her approximate age?
Is about 9 to 10. Because that's what she tells you.
And do you try to talk to her with your dowsing rods?
A time or two, but I try not to just chit-chat with the dowsing rods.
So she just lives her life just alongside you and your family?
Yes, so we also have, her name's Mabel. We also have Emmett in our home. He was grumpy, and we actually kidnapped Mabel.
You better describe that.
We'll tell you. So she was in my aunt's home, which is why my aunt and a couple of my cousins, I don't know if my aunt saw her or not, but a couple of cousins definitely saw this ghost and freaked them out. Then my sister bought my aunt's home. And then my sister and a niece and nephew saw the exact same spirit. It freaked them out. And so I said, do you want us to come get the ghost? And she said, yes, please come get the ghost. And so we did. We got the ghost, brought her to my house.
So you just went over and said, hey, why don't you just come with me?
Yeah, we actually had a different spirit go and talk to her and long story, which I don't want to get into on this podcast.
I'm calling Ghost Child Protective Services because I'm a little worried.
So then my sister calls up like a week or two later, and she says, we haven't seen her really, because they would feel her climb on the bed. You know the feeling of when a child climbs on the bed? They would feel that, and no one was in the house, and I've actually felt that.
Every night of my life, people. I got
But
4
they're
kids.
actual child.
They're actual children. They're not ghost children, but every night.
Yeah, so imagine that, but nothing there. And she said, we haven't really felt our little ghost here in a couple of weeks. I said, well, it's because she's at my house. And she said, you stole my ghost? I said, you told me to come get her. So, a little miscommunication there, but she's here now. But when she came, I was upstairs and everybody was gone. Chad was at work, the kids were at school. And I heard Emmett say, hey, kind of that same way that an adult will say, hey, when you're kind of playing with kids. And so he actually likes her. He always wanted to have kids, and he reminds her of her dad.
Oh,
So they kind of play every now and then. So
that's kind of a cute story.
it is.
A cute little haunting story.
It is.
And they have both been offered to cross over and have elected not to.
And they don't want to. I ask them every now and then, and they're like, nope, we're good.
We could start a ghost adoption services.
I know.
New webpage.
That's right.
If you run into a child ghost, do not take it home. I know I did, but
Home for the unwanted ghosts.
I would. This is the only one that I would bring home because I know about it.
Because it was like a family ghost with your aunt, your sister.
I know everyone's like, "You're such a hypocrite." No, we've got some background with this one. We knew it was legit.
You've been listening to the Supernatural Hour at AdvancedParanormal.com. The Supernatural Hour is part of the Radio Ronin network found at RadioRonin.com. Copyright 2021 by Advanced Paranormal Services.